Hi, YouTube. Welcome to part 10 of Eliza with a Therapist. I have to apologize publicly to my editor and to all of you for monumentally screwing up the numbering of these episodes. I do apologize for that. I think I'm back on track, though. This is part 10. I actually can't believe we're already on part 10. But this has provided so much conversation fodder. It's been fantastic, and I'm so glad that you're here at part 10. And I do hope that you'll continue to stick around throughout this playthrough. I do want to reiterate that, I'm not the arbiter of truth on this. My perspective on these things is not the end-all, be-all. There are times where I might say something that is not... It's not like I'm the gospel on these things. You're just hearing my perspective. It seems to me that lots of you are enjoying it. Thank you to those of you who have been leaving thumbs up and comments throughout this playthrough. The engagement on this has been really cool. I was not anticipating that. So keep being awesome. Keep giving me your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them, believe it or not. All right. Here we go. Starting off with the phone. Saurin. It begins. Venture post exclusive. Eliza creator raises cash from top VCs for hot new direct stimulation startup. The man behind Skanda's popular virtual counseling app Eliza is up to something new, and top venture capital firms are listening. Aponia. Aponia is the new Seattle startup helmed by Dr. Saurin Lloyd-Rose, the chief psychologist and project lead for Eliza at Skanda. It's raised $26.2 million from investors, including Wellspring Ventures, Song and Lagerholm, and Xiamen Capital. Bay Area-based Wellspring invested in Aponia via its Continuum Fund, which supports startups developing technology to support and improve mental wellness. We find Saurin's unique, brain-first approach to mental health extremely compelling, Walter Rockich, partner at Wellspring, told Venture Post. He's already redefined what it means to seek support for mental wellness once. We think he'll do it again. Aponia isn't revealing details about its technology yet, but Lloyd-Rose himself has said he would be revealing more details soon when he announced the venture at OneMind 2.0 last month. The technology is real and working in prototype form already, he said. A lot of passive voice in that email. It bothers me, but boy. Meeting with Rainer from Sarah Karchatova. Evelyn, Rainer would like to speak with you again. I've scheduled a meeting for 4:35 p.m. today. As before, a car will come pick you up. Regards. It is never too late to be what you might have been. Oh. It's actually a good quote, but. Looks like I have one more transparency mode to do today. Yay! That's exactly what I wanted to do to start off today. Yay! I'll get that out of the way before I meet with Rainer again. Yay! We get to do fun things before fun things. Yay! Woo! Boopity-boopity-doo. Beep-boop-boop-boop-bop-bop. Here we go. Transparency mode. No way. Get the out of here. Come on. Okay. Oh, God. All right. It's time to talk about ethics. Because, who cares about those? But, oh, boy. All right. So, I, a therapist, DrMick, not Evelyn. Evelyn's not a therapist, remember. But I, Dr. Mick, a therapist, a licensed therapist. I, due to a code of ethics, am not permitted to work with anybody who I would have what's called a dual relationship with. Meaning friends, family, coworkers, students, etc. I am not permitted to be a therapist for those people because of the conflict of interest and because of the way in which it impedes my ability to do my job. So I am not able to do therapy with any of my friends or family members as a result of that, even if I'm qualified to do so. If I have a family member who's struggling immensely with OCD, I can certainly give them tips. Like, I can talk to them about what I know about OCD, but I cannot do therapy with them. If a friend or family member becomes my client, I am acting unethically. So, as a result, we don't do that. If it turns out that you find out that you have some sort of dual relationship over the course of therapy, you actually have to end it and refer. So, Evelyn having access to Saurin's transparency mode is an egregious violation of ethics, I guess, but we'll call it morality at this point. I cannot imagine that Saurin would consent to this. And even if he did, I don't know that Evelyn's still not appropriate proxy for this. And the reason that this is so problematic just in general, again, is because Evelyn making any kind of evaluation here is so out of pocket because Evelyn's not a therapist. So these evaluations in general are already horrific, as we've talked about throughout this playthrough. But the fact that we now have access to somebody that we have a personal history with is just over the goddamn moon terrible. So everything about this is horrible. And because we have to push the plot forward, we're going to do this. This is probably just a bunch of ratings and tasting notes. Neat. It's actually a cool app icon. Montlake. Is that a fashion label? Camera. I definitely don't want to see what might be in his photos. No. I don't think I need to look at his bank. I wonder why he has the proxy app. Asking the big questions here. All right. Emails first, I guess. Don Geisler. Saurin, the problem here is not that we think it impairs you. This feels so dirty. I hate this. But all right, just buckle up, Ryan. Just get in there. You got to do it. Saurin, the problem here is not what we think it impairs you. That we think. You've clearly demonstrated to us that whatever your process is, it's working and generating great results. What we're concerned with is optics, really. How it would look to those on the outside if it were to become known that there is a drinking culture or something similar at Aponia. You know as well as we do how rumors and hearsay can spread out of control and ignite a firestorm on social media, which is something we are keen to avoid. I hear you about responsible use of alcohol, and also about how most antidepressants don't even come close in terms of their immediate action. Oh, God. Believe me, I've been there myself. What Walter and I are saying is simply to be careful, to not be so cavalier about this kind of thing, not only being in public sphere, reporters, conferences, etc., but in front of your new hires as well. Don. Alcohol is a depressant. Alcohol is not an antidepressant. Alcohol is a chemical that for some allows them more access to their emotional experience and for some assists in them avoiding it. People drink for different reasons and have different effects on that. But for him to be like, what? I drink because it's faster than antidepressants? Like, good Lord, man. We got to get a handle on this. Anya Maitra. Saurin, we can do this one of two ways. We can either work together as you suggest and stay professional colleagues forever. If you think you can really do that, I have my doubts. Or we can simply go our separate ways. There are plenty of places for us to carve out a space of our own in this industry without us running into each other much, despite what you like to say about destiny and threads of fate. I'm laying this out for you as clear, a binary choice so you can make a concrete decision about it. AM. Oh, yikes. Look at that. Good for her for setting that boundary. It's a real shame she has to set it. His prior behavior with us certainly lends to the hypothesizing about what the nature of this could have been. So, no need for me to go any deeper on that. He's slain Lloyd Rose. No, Dad. Just no. You're supposed to be the genius who developed all these great applications for mental health. Have you ever considered you might need a therapist yourself? Good for you, kid. Heather Cowperthwaite. What can we do about this? Dear Dr. Lloyd Rose, I understand you had some concerns around the way your interview went on MSNBC last week. Reviewing the footage, I believe there are a few successful tactics we can deploy to mitigate the potential negatives and ensure you receive only the kind of attention you're interested in getting going forward. I'm hoping that you might be able to take some time out of your, no doubt, very busy schedule to sit down with us and solidify a strategic communications plan for you and Aponia, including key messages, reputation-building activities, and executive media training. With a strong plan in place, there is far less chance of being ambushed by the media. End goal would be for you to be able to trust us to manage your media profile and appearances so that you can concentrate on the hard work involved in being the brilliant, celebrated scientist and entrepreneur that you are. Hoping to hear back from you soon. Heather Cowperthwaite, Senior Account Manager at Limestone PR. This is a terrible logo. Jonathan, is a partner required? Hi, Dark Horse. Most people come to the seminar with a partner in order to practice and learn with their model, and I think that is definitely the most valuable way to attend. There have been people on their own who have sat in on the session and found it worthwhile, but there's a big difference between watching the ties being done and practicing them on a real person. Another arrangement to consider is a 3-person group where 2 riggers take turns practicing on a model if you're able to arrange that. To answer your second question, yes, you must bring your own rope. I recommend at least 2 15-foot ropes and 1 30-foot in order to complete all the ties we demonstrate. Hope that answers your questions, Jonathan. Okay. Hey, we're not going to kink shame the man. That's fine. That's what he's into. It's just very violating to read that and know that, because we can't unknow that. Evelyn should never have had access to this information. Terrible. Nora, oh boy. Your show was great. Just wanted to say, hi, Soren, thanks. Had a wild night? Not the wildest night I've ever had, but up there. Definitely feeling pain in muscles I didn't know I had. Yeah, we are getting older. Oh, that's not fair at all. I'm far older than you. Besides, you looked fantastic. Your beauty has only grown since the day we worked together. Sorry if that's inappropriate. If you have to say sorry if that's inappropriate, you've already evaluated it as being inappropriate. You should have thought about that before you texted it. Lol, Soren. Frailer than I used to be, but the fire's never gone out. Still need to get out and do something bacchanalian from time to time. Yeah, I was a little surprised to see you there. I convinced Evelyn to come too, you know. Don't think she'd have gone otherwise. Gross. Aw, thanks. You're welcome. I know you fancy her. Don't you? Sure I do. Everyone likes Evelyn. Oh, man. This is just, I don't have a lot more to offer here. This is a guy who's gone his entire life unchecked. It's really what it is. And that's not the fault of the people that haven't checked him. It's just that this, like, he just, I guarantee you he thinks this is all perfectly appropriate. I mean, this is terrible. Like, I mean, I shouldn't be seeing this in the first place, but seeing this, oh God, Nikki, I miss you. I know you don't miss me. Oh, that's not true. I know not to trust words like that. Then why say anything? No shit. Because it's true, I miss you. I want to see you again. Well, you know how to find me. Yeah, I know. Schedule something again soon. I can't believe I do this. Sometimes I hate myself so much. Oh my gosh, my guy. My guy. Oh man. All right, we're gonna read these and then I'll see what kind of stuff I can kind of figure out how to construct and talk about here. Hey, what are you up to, Sarah? I've always really admired you. I've never told you that before, but it's true. You work with Rainer and put up with him every day. That takes a lot of work, I know. Your talents are wasted in that job. You deserve so much more. Hi, Soren. Are you drunk? Haha, maybe. I'm not lying, though. Don't you want more in life than to be someone's secretary? You're intelligent. Rainer is not exactly an easy boss to work with. I'm sure you know that. I sure do. Let me take you out sometime. We can trade stories, war stories. I know I have a reputation, but that's with people I don't respect. I respect you. It's different. Ask me again when you're sober. Bullshit, she says that. Okay, I will. There's no way. Again, men writing women. There's no way she says that. No way. Andrea, you around? So you're ignoring me. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I've been under a lot of stress. These business fucks are driving me crazy. I should have realized they just grind you down. All right. So, as is usually the case in situations like this, I put my therapist hat on. I ask myself, if this is the kind of thing that I had to come across as a therapist. Because you're not, like, as a therapist, you're not precluded from working with people who engage with the world like Soren does. Like, Soren is just as entitled to therapy as anybody else, and Soren is entitled to the same level of empathy, patience, understanding, and validation that anybody else is, despite engaging in behaviors that we might say in an objective sense are quite problematic. So what do you do here if you're in a position to have to, like, work with this? You dig deep and you find the humanity in this, and then you work to validate the humanity in it while also simultaneously holding them accountable to engage in a more healthy way. So, this is a man who seems to be very lost in terms of feeling a sense of purpose and connection to the things he's doing. My sense is that Soren maybe has never internalized a healthy narrative about himself where he is able to reinforce his own, like, importance and the fact that he matters and that his emotions and stuff are valid and that he can engage with people in a meaningful way. He might not have ever learned these things. And so you're seeing this, like, really awkward split happen. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily splitting in, like, the psychodynamic sense. It's more of just, like, people often engage in the world via a series of compensations for the shit that they carry internally. So Soren simultaneously is oscillating between a sense of importance and a sense of complete, like, lack of worth. And riding that roller coaster for him is probably exacerbated by his alcohol use, but probably makes his existence on the day-to-day quite miserable. So one of the things that he is doing, if he engages in quite a bit of self-loathing and has any kind of awareness of the not so great effect he has on people, which he seems to have based on these texts and emails, is he is looking for external adoration. He texts these women and seeks their engagement as a way to falsely validate that he is attractive and cool to engage with and has purpose. He makes these apps for the masses in a way that allows him to experience the adoration that we've seen in the emails and the press releases about how he's this brilliant scientist guy. The problem is that despite receiving those messages, he's not internalizing them, or he either doesn't internalize them in reference to a level of self-loathing that we don't have much access to right now, or he over-internalizes them and believes that he is super important and that he is somebody that you should just want to be with. And neither one of those is good, because both of those can lead to the same behavior. So to illustrate here, if you have a person in Saurin who is fundamentally insecure and not particularly in tune with his level of worth as a person, then you have this constant external reassurance seeking that happens. That is never going to be good enough because he's not internalizing it and building his own narrative. He's not using that as a means to develop a sense of self-worth and esteem that's going to help him engage in more healthy ways with people and respect boundaries and stuff like that. Conversely, if he has over-internalized this stuff to a point that he believes that he's hot shit and is untouchable and that he's just the thing that everybody should want to be with, he's going to basically do the same thing. He's going to violate boundaries. He's going to reach out to people because his understanding of himself is that people should want to engage with him. And he's going to be surprised when people don't. And he's not going to internalize that data in a way that challenges perhaps the reason that people aren't responding to me and are setting these boundaries with me is because I'm not engaging with them in a good way. They're protecting themselves from the way that I'm engaging with them. That wouldn't compute in a schema, in a self schema that says I'm totally hot shit that everybody would want to hang out with and thinks is brilliant. So he's rife with all these like projections, sense of self, self-worth, purpose, existential crap, and all of it is exacerbated by the fact that he engages with alcohol in the way that he does, and it creates this tangled mess of a phone that we just went through. There's a lot of work to be done there if we're going to do anything meaningful with him as a therapist. He's going to have to get to a point where he can acknowledge that he is really riding a roller coaster, that he's got some real demons he's got to sort out, and that this is not going to be easy work. This is going to be long haul stuff. So now we get to make an oversimplified assessment. Overall, Saurin is unhappy. Seems it. To me, at least. Saurin is attempting to connect with others. Yes, Saurin's attempts to connect with others are unsuccessful. Certainly seems to be the case. This isn't a coincidence. It can't be. If it's not a coincidence, that's an even bigger problem. Just telling you right now. It's a problem anyway, but... Now let's talk to Raynor. At the Skanda headquarters building, Raynor's assistant leads me to a different elevator than last time. It's located at the end of a long corridor, protected by multiple keycard swipes. Yay! Inside, the elevator smoothly ramps up speed as we stand silently. I kind of wish I could talk to this lady, Sarah, if I remember right. But I'm not sure what I would say. She's not looking at me. She's looking off into the distance somehow, even though it's an elevator and the wall is right there. Elevator rides really are awkward, aren't they? They can be. I have a sense that if I tried to say something friendly, I'd be met with a stony silence. You don't know how you'd be responded to. If you want to say something, say something. If you don't want to say something, don't say it. Control what you can control. Most people in the elevator are probably experiencing something similar to you. Or if I asked a sincere question, she would deflect it. All projection. All assumptions, not true.
Ah, Evelyn.
What an office.
Would you like some tea?
Nope.
I'm fine, thanks. Why did you show me Soren's phone?
Ooh, she's coming in hot. Love that.
It's not a surprise anymore these days, is it?
So slimy, man. He's trying to undercut Soren so that Evelyn is willing to work for him. It's disgusting. Hey, Evelyn, let's everything about that is so disgusting. Hey, Evelyn, let's take your employment and put you in a compromised position via your employment and give you access to something you shouldn't have access to. Your employment dictates that you go through it, that you discover everything that I want you to see about Soren so that you think he's a piece of shit so that you don't work for him and instead work for me. That is coercive. It is manipulative. It is get the out of this office material. None of these men are worth our time at this point. None of them. They're all behaving badly.
A man who enjoys society's respect behaves poorly in his private life?
It's his private life, man.
We accept that as common today. Maybe even uninteresting.
Mm-hmm.
But would you really be okay working with someone like him?
Bro, you both suck. You, like, seriously, you both suck in your own ways. And I don't know that I appreciate that somebody would do what you've done in order to get me to see that. Like, that doesn't make you any better than him. Like, this whole, like, high and mighty, I'm such a badass, understand the human condition better than anybody else bullshit is gross. He's probably got skeletons, too. Absolutely, he's got skeletons. Let me make everybody else look bad so that nobody looks in my closet. That's classic, by the way. Every accusation is a projection. When you start getting into really high positions of power, that is often the case. But seriously, like, this is just slimy. If you're Evelyn, you get out of here. You engage your autonomy and you say, you know what? You know what? I shouldn't have even come here in the first place. I'm out of here. Enjoy your life. I'm going to move to Montana and stay very far away from you. It's just, man, it's awful. And I don't have a lot of empathy for this. Like, I could go into, you know, why would he do this and blah, 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 blah. Look, at the end of the day, like, I could do all that. I'm not Rayner's therapist. He's not asking me for therapy. I'm guessing Rayner does not go to therapy. His actions here are reprehensible. You know, Soren's not fabulous either, but they're both in their own ways doing really terrible stuff. That was a huge violation of his privacy.
That was a huge violation of his privacy.
Yep. Asshole.
You really don't care about others.
Privacy. Everyone's worried about privacy. Skanda wouldn't be where it is today if our customers didn't trust us to protect their data.
Oh my God.
We employ most, if not all, of the top experts in cybersecurity. It's built into all of our products right from the beginning.
You're so full of shit. You just said I'm gonna wake my wife up. Are you kidding me? I don't give a flying fuck if that was delivered to me in an encrypted message. You violated his privacy by sending it to me. Oh my God. This guy is so far up his own ass, it's unbelievable.
Unlike our competitors, we do more to protect our data than anyone else.
This guy really doesn't get it.
That's not the case I'm worried about right now. I mean, misuse from the inside. For example, if someone wanted to keep tabs on a former employee who was starting a potential competitor.
Oh, but what if it was perfectly legal due to multiple agreements that the good Dr. Lloyd Rose signed with us when he came here?
Cool. Legality and morality are not the same thing. You can justify this all you want to me. Look, this guy he's locked in, man. He's locked in. We are not going to penetrate this. We're not. you walk away. Seriously, you walk away. The thing I'm going to say here, friends, is that if you ever find yourself in a position where you're engaging with your values and what you believe is good for you, the people around you, generally feels morally correct to you and ethical, and you make that known, and a person continuously butts you and is very clearly trying to move you in a direction that's more in line with them, and that feels icky to go down that line, get out. Walk away. Survive the situation and figure out a way not to engage with that person again. You are not going to break that down if we are this far down. This guy is so deep in his justifications and confirmation bias that there's the point of return on that is going to be he has to decide. Like literally, it's at the point where the only person that's going to decide to turn that ship around is Raynor. Nobody is going to turn this ship around for him. The only thing that would be like repercussions for his actions. But when you have a person trying to justify something that is just fundamentally not okay because it's a legal loophole because he signed off on the documents, like we are so way beyond any kind of meaningful discussion here.
Are you done questioning me like a tech journalist?
Oh yes, are you done questioning me like the people that we've demonized since the very beginning? The people that we constantly send internal emails and say that they hate us and they're trying to destroy us? He knows exactly what he's doing right now.
Do you watch my therapy sessions too?
Of course he does.
Do you read my email? My texts?
No, I haven't done any of those things. How's your research into Eliza proxy use cases going?
Anyway.
Any new insights to share?
Oh God. I don't like any of these. He's not gonna hear. I guarantee he's gonna have a retort for any of these. There's a lot of suffering in this world. No, I'm not sure it's really helping people. A little bit of a zinger, but he's not gonna believe me. I think you could stand to treat your contract workers better.
I'm not sure it's really helping people.
Our metrics indicate otherwise. Of course, it's only human to concentrate on a small number of corner cases. I heard Saurin gave you a demo of his direct stimulation machine.
From who? Unless that came from Saurin. It was only me and Saurin there when I did that. Literally the only two people on this planet that know that happened is me and Saurin. So either you found out from Saurin or you found out from going into his data. Because maybe we had some sort of text exchange. But that doesn't feel good to me.
How's he doing now? All on his own.
Why are you asking?
You tell me.
Very funny, Evelyn. Let me ask you this.
Oh, God. This guy thinks he's so cool.
Do you find his vision compelling?
This guy, you know, I'm really starting to believe that he's legitimately threatened by Saurin. I really am. Because Saurin's living rent-free in his head. Saurin is doing something, and Raynor, who is Mr. Big Important human philosophy tech bro guy, is spending so much time thinking about Saurin. And if you're a person in Raynor's position, you only think about Saurin if he's gotten underneath your skin in a particular type of way and is highlighting your own insecurities. Like, he's trying to figure out how to squash Saurin, not because he believes what Saurin's doing is wrong, but likely because he thinks that that's going to just somehow manage whatever kind of insecurity he has relative to it. It's so transparent. Like, you are threatened by him. And that's not my problem. Stop fighting that battle through me.
A world free of suffering.
Like, even though I don't agree with the way that Saurin is going about things, I'm not going to let on to that. I hate this. I don't want to answer this question. Say maybe. I'm going to be super obtuse to drive him crazy.
Maybe.
By focusing on dreams, Saurin is trying to defend his territory.
Also, I mean, the level of projected self-importance here. Raynor is literally sitting here thinking that anything that Saurin is doing is relative to him. You know, he's trying to, we're at war and he's trying to position himself. I mean, this, oh, man.
The Western psychological tradition, chiefly Jung and his inheritors.
Yeah, yes, please. Mansplain Carl Jung to me.
You don't think the field has anything to offer?
Hate both of these responses.
Not much, no. It's mostly unsubstantiated theories.
He is correct. He is not wrong. It's like, seriously, people who are like all gung-ho, Carl Jung is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. They are largely unsubstantiated theories. So like, he's not wrong here. But
let's be honest. What has this field actually accomplished?
oh no, don't do this. Don't do this. Yeah, I just want to give you guys, I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm just going to give you a window into DrMick's psyche right now. I am actively trying to find a way to not be reactive to him. Because it's very easy to get, like, he has acted in such a way that I admit I am biased. I admit that him and Saurin, I don't have much use for. And so it makes it very difficult for me to want to engage with them in any kind of authentic way because I just don't trust either of them. And they are very transparent about what they're about. For the purposes of this playthrough, I'm trying to find ways to not be so reactive, to try to give some level of analysis. And it is very hard for me to do that because every single time he opens his mouth, he says or does something that is not okay. Like it is dripping with a level of like ego and power and manipulation that makes it so hard for me to in any way endorse the way that he's engaging here. I mean, it is legit. I agree. It is legitimately incredible to me how brutally awful and archetypal and caricaturized these two are. Like, it is almost impossible. And any of you that have watched any of my playthroughs know I work my ass off to try to find empathy for every single character that I can find. I try to do the hard work because it is hard work to do. But I'm telling you right now, this is where when I say you run, you cut and run, I'm not kidding. We are at the point of no return with both of them. If I am Evelyn, I am leaving this. I'm saying, you know what? I don't give a damn about anything you have to say, Raynor. I'm out. Do your thing. Don't care. Don't contact me. Don't call me. Don't email me. I don't want to hear anybody who is even remotely connected to you reach out to me. I'm going to block you on every possible thing I can block you on. Leave me alone, and I will file for a restraining order if you try to violate that. Like, that's where I'm at with these dudes. Now, the sad thing is, Evelyn is in an unenviable position, as many people around these guys are, which is that they may not be fully aware of how terrible this is, may feel a sense of compulsion to, I mean, I don't, Evelyn seems to be in a position where she doesn't actually have any kind of tie, like she doesn't need the employment around like being a proxy. Like she doesn't, like my sense that she's not actually like tied in any kind of meaningful way to Skanda other than just being curious about where things are at. Like if she was paying her bills with Skanda money and was like having a hard time finding a job elsewhere, it makes this even worse because now like she's actually tied in a way that like binds her a bit to feeling a sense of needing to capitulate to him. But Evelyn being in the position that she's in, it really doesn't again, other than to push a video game narrative forward, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me why Evelyn would continue to hang around these guys. I mean, they're terrible. So anyway, to get back to the conversation, what has the field actually accomplished? The fact that you have that point of view on this and are actively running a company that is facilitating a therapy AI it shows in the way that the AI has been constructed. Because if you have a lack of respect for what psychology as a field has tried to accomplish in terms of understanding the human brain, and you just are dismissive of it as all bad, a bunch of idiots who don't know what they're talking about, then we have a real problem with the thing that you're creating. You don't have to agree with every psychological theory that's ever come out. You could certainly challenge them. None of them are gospel. None of them, any psychological theory that claims to be the arbiter of reality is lying to you, because they are all just theories. But the idea that you wouldn't respect them and respect what they have to contribute in terms of how we think about the human psyche when you're actively creating an AI that facilitates this stuff, what are we doing?
Soren used to try to argue with me about this.
I'm sure he did.
He would claim that traditional psychoanalysis has helped thousands or tens of thousands, even millions.
To an extent, yes. Not perfectly, but yeah.
I would never dispute that directly. Instead, I would only add that professional psychics and astrologers have helped millions too.
It's a good point, and both of those are bullshit, so he is not wrong. People that claim that going to a medium is helpful to them, I'm not going to dispute that experience, despite the fact that that is not a field that is really acting in your best interest, as much as a person like a medium would like to tell you that it is.
Tarot cards help people all over the world every single day.
Cool. Why are you being obtuse? What's your point?
That doesn't mean it's a science.
You are correct. But, oh my God, man. But we have something called human subjects research. Okay, the basics for people who may not understand the way that experimentation works. The way that you can test it's a very difficult process to do, but the way that you can test whether a intervention or approach to therapy works is that you can have people engage in a blind study where essentially they receive therapy, and one group, the experimental group, receives whatever intervention is being tested, and then you have the control group that receives therapy that does not include the intervention that is being tested. And the clients in this case likely would not know which group they're in. So you would just say, like, I'm receiving therapy and I don't know whether the interventions that I'm being exposed to or the treatment protocol is the experiment or if it's just the control. It's very difficult to get these types of things approved because if the experimental condition seems to be indicated as the proper way to work with a person, but you actively don't use that because you're in the control group, like, it gets kind of complicated, because it's like, then are you causing not harm, but are you also not helping as well as you could have because these people are in the control group? It's very complicated stuff. That said, there are many people who have figured these types of things out and have tested different types of interventions. So yeah, like, you could talk about any theory as being the same as astrology and blah, 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 blah. But if you go and actually test something like astrology, it's not going to be valid or reliable. There's no, like, instrumentation. Like, there's nothing that has ever shown that, like, being an Aquarius actually means this. You can, however, talk about things like dialectical behavioral therapy as having some level of empirical support for treating how borderline personality disorder has been defined, or working with clients who are engaging in self-harm. So we have been able to test various approaches, and those approaches are grounded in theory. So his point here is moot, because you can't compare these things willy-nilly like this. You're using this to justify your argument, and you're thinking that you're talking, well, and he's talking to Evelyn, who doesn't have any kind of knowledge about this stuff. If he's talking to me, I'm looking him in the face and being like, you're an idiot. Like, what you're saying is just wholly untrue. And I don't know what you think you're trying to convince me of, because I know more than you about this, and it shows. Yeah, psychology is more rigorous than you're making it out to be here.
Psychology is more rigorous than you're making it out to be here.
Yes, that's exactly what he'd say.
You're such a loser, dude.
Not only did he believe psychotherapy was worthwhile, he also thought the mind was fundamentally irreducible after a certain point. As if there was some undefinable, ineffable soul inside every person. It's all part of his silly, syncretic New Age belief system. Amazing he's held on to that for so long.
This dude is so insecure, it's not even funny. You're threatened by the fact that he actually knows more about psychology than you do. That's what this is. That is 100% what this is. As much as I don't particularly like Saurin as a person, Saurin is a licensed psychologist. He went to school. He's got education. He knows stuff about this. And Rayner doesn't. And Rayner is in charge of a company that has this. And Rayner, instead of doing what I wish more people in positions of power would do, which is defer to people who know what they're talking about, Rayner can't stand the idea that he's not the smartest person in the room about every single thing. So instead of appreciating that Saurin has something to offer, he fights it. And he says this bullshit and blah, 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 blah. And I'm gonna discredit psychology as a field because I'm insecure about the fact that I don't know anything about it. That's the level that he's at here. His new age belief system, like, dude, that's not. Saurin is hardly new age. Like, hardly. So it's sad. Like, this is profoundly sad to me that we have a person here who is so up his own ass about being so important that his insecurities are turned into rhetoric around like warfare and discrediting things because I feel stupid because I don't understand them. And instead of doing the work to understand them and consulting with people who know what they're talking about, I just fight it. I just try to save face all the time. And the fact that he's in a position of power and can throw his resources around makes it... Ugh. This is a slog, man. This is rough.
I keep an open mind.
No, you
saying
don't.
that something can't be represented with numbers requires a high burden of proof. After all, numbers have been used to represent so very many things.
Yes, please continue to mansplain for me, please.
Consider the example we spoke about before. A poem. Could you evaluate a poem using numbers?
Sure you can, Rayner, and I'm sure you're going to tell me how.
The answer is, of course, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, please. Enlighten me. Please. Oh, ye arbiter of all of the humanity. The man who knows all that is to be known about everything. Yes. Tell me more about how we can quantify a poem.
Poems are either good, mediocre, or bad. It's entirely possible to create a heuristic that reflects the difference.
In fact, my good friend Mr. Likert developed a scale in order to help us do that. We have nominal and ordinal scales. And, oh, God. Oh, this guy's insufferable. I'm dying. I am dying right now.
By aggregating a large enough sample size, we remove localized biases.
God.
It would work the same way Eliza does.
I think I disagree, bud.
I think I might disagree, Rayner.
Oh, God.
Don't tell me you're an essentialist, too.
Oh, my God. Why do I do this to myself? I never imagined that this playthrough was going to do this to me. I really wasn't. I don't know. Like, there will never be another playthrough like this. I don't even know how to handle this. Like, don't tell me you're an essentialist. Like, well, dude, you're really going to go there? I tell you that I don't agree with one thing you say, and you're like, oh, dude. Oh, you damn liberals. Like, really? Like, this is the dude where you go, yeah, you know, I actually think gay people should get married. And they go, oh my God, you're a liberal douche. It's like, what? Like, what do you do? What? Why do we got to make these big, sweeping, broad stroke statements when I'm just telling you I disagree with one thing? Like, what the, dude? Don't tell me you're an essentialist. Oh, yes, I fit the entire body of whatever this thing that you have conceptualized because I tell you I disagree on the quantification of something that is entirely subjective. Yes. But please, tell me more about my identity.
Algorithms can evaluate poems, and eventually, algorithms will write poems. One day, algorithms will write better poems than humans ever have.
Wow, that's so cool, dude. Are you gonna, like, think about how awesome that is while you're making out with your robot girlfriend? Because, you know, it's just got more than humans could ever provide for you. Oh my God, the algorithm plays tonsil hockey with me better than an actual human would have.
I know this sounds like a controversial opinion, Evelyn, but
It just sounds dumb. It's not controversial. It just sounds so, like, annoyingly esoteric.
What would be the point of that?
It doesn't matter. There's no stopping it. If we don't take this step, others will. There are hundreds of labs working on the same or similar ideas.
Just tell me you want to profit off of it, dude. Just tell me. That's it. Just tell me that you want a house. Okay, I'm gonna tell you all a story because I just need to tell you this story. Because I need a break for a second. Okay. Okay. And I promise this relates. I was recently invited to play golf, and it was a wonderful time with some really cool people. And the golf course is located in a section of Las Vegas that is quite wealthy and is currently being developed. So back in like the 90s, there's a guy who bought a whole bunch of land in this particular part of Las Vegas, and people thought that the guy was nuts because they're like, that land is just no man's zone. And now the guy's laughing all the way to the bank because it's being developed with multi-million-dollar houses. You couldn't even imagine the amount of money that this guy's probably rolling in because of the way this has been developed. So there's a person who bought land. So there's roads that are going up these mountains. Okay, there's a person who bought land on this road. It was as high up as it could go, or as high up as the roads were at the time. And he bought this lot and he built this, like, I don't know, $13 million house on this road. Okay, $13 million house. So the guy who owns the land decides to build a road that goes just a little bit higher than that guy's house, and decided to plow a lot that was a little bit above it. The guy who owns that house bought the dirt for $3 million so that he could build a bigger house and live in that house and sell the house below it because he wants to be the highest up. Okay, all of this is to say that at some point, people get so entrenched in just the capitalist machine and these like concept, like Rayner at this point this is not one of the dudes I golfed with. No, this is just a dude that they know about that lives in the area. Rayner saying, if we don't take this step, others will, tells me that this is not for him about the things that he's saying it is about. It is not about actually understanding the human condition. It's not about helping people. It's not at this point, it's the game of making sure that he is more important, more well known, and ahead of the capitalist curve. He wants to profit off of this. It's not even about having a beautiful home at this point. It's about having a home that's higher up than everybody else. He's into the weeds on stupid bullshit about this, and he's completely lost the plot on this. Other people are developing these things, so I want to develop it as fast as I possibly can because I want to profit from it. I want to be ahead of the curve. I want my name on this. Probably as a way to compensate for whatever kind of insecurities that I've been struggling with and makes me target Saurin. People will believe that I'm the smartest if I get there first. It's what this is. It's the reason that a person who's already got $500 million will still go try to pinch pennies and find another $20 million where they can. At some point, our brain can't comprehend these things, and we just do it because of the game of it. So, yes, continue to tell me how we can quantify the human experience, but at least admit that you're trying to do this because it's profitable. Don't hide this behind some big, here's the purpose of this, and I want to just completely change the course of humanity. Bullshit. If you wanted to change the course of humanity and do this right, you would care more about doing it right instead of being ahead of the curve and getting the profits.
Everyone wants to be in this business. The business of recreating human thought in our own image.
We do? Last time I checked, my parents don't really care about this. I know, I'm stressed out, buddy. I know, I'm still stressed out. Touch my face. It'll help. Bite my nose and touch my face, please. I know. Rain is bad. Stressful, yes. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for taking care of me.
And at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about power, control.
There he is. Thank you. Finally, you're admitting.
Raynor, do you ever get tired of this? The constant drive to compete, to win.
No, I don't. This is what I do.
You never dream of just retiring somewhere and writing poetry.
Oh, there's no need for me to write poems.
Not when my cool robot can do it.
All beauty in this world is temporary, fleeting. That's the truth that underlies poetry and every other art. The pleasures of the senses are just small bubbles on top of a vast sea of forms, sensations, perceptions, thought, awareness.
I don't know that I couldn't laugh. Like, if I was in this room with him, I don't know that I couldn't laugh at him. I really? Tell me what that sentence means, bud.
I'm telling you this because it's directly relevant to the Eliza project. Saurin says he can induce you to dream things, dream anything. And maybe he can. But what comes next after that?
Never satisfied, man.
What
This guy's
comes
never
after
satisfied.
having the power to experience the dream of anything you could possibly want?
I don't know, man. I don't think about this. I just want to, like, play my guitar and love somebody and play hockey. That's what I want to do.
You're still just as trapped as you've always been, imprisoned by your own desires.
Yes, tell me more about how you're feeling. Tell me more about how dreadful it's been to be human, bud. See, we're getting a little bit of insight in here now. In all seriousness, we're getting a little bit of insight into him. This dude feels trapped as a human. This guy does not ever feel satiated. He's the guy who buys... This is the guy who buys all of the comic books for a particular series because he wants to complete it, and then says, well, but what about this series? What about these statues? What about these? Oh, I got all the statues? Cool. Now I want to get a piece of Picasso art. Wait, I got that piece of Picasso art. Well, what if I got this piece of Picasso art? Like, it's literally, this is a person who just keeps shopping because they think that the next thing they buy is going to make them feel better, and it doesn't. And he is doing this on like epic proportions at this point. So we are getting a bit of a window into Raynor here. He is experiencing suffering in the same way that Saurin is. He just has a different idea of how to handle it. I feel trapped in what it is to be human. What is our purpose? Like, he is Mr. Existential Dread embodied. What are we? Do we matter? What is this? After you do this, then what does that mean? Constantly chasing the next thing because he thinks that that's going to somehow make it better. And it's not, because now it's about the chase, not about the product.
Even if someone like Saurin managed to create a world for himself, his own weaknesses and negative thoughts would ruin it.
Okay. Again, this dude loves to think about Saurin.
He would poison his own fantasy. His utopia would crumble as soon as he finished building it.
I'm like barely even listening at this point. This guy just loves hearing himself talk.
Raynor, what are you trying to tell me?
Seriously, dude.
What I'm trying to tell you is that what Saurin is doing is not the answer.
Who cares? Then do your thing. Why do you care? If you know in your heart of hearts that your way of going about this is better, then just do it. What on earth? Like, my God. You think Steve Jobs sat there and just spent all day thinking about what Bill Gates was doing? Like,
a dream by itself isn't enough. Take a close look at the person who chases an end to suffering, and you'll see someone who suffers greatly.
Uh-huh. Look in the mirror, bud.
Then why don't you build it yourself?
What is your dream, Evelyn?
Oh, God. As if you care.
What is it that you're working toward?
Getting out of this office.
Just tell me what you want from me.
I've been very clear about it, haven't I?
Nope.
I'm offering you the opportunity to re-enter the field you pioneered at its very pinnacle. I can build you an entirely new research lab, equipped and staffed however you want.
Why would I want to?
You would have access to the world's top engineers and researchers as we continue to develop Eliza's core technologies and generalize them. You'd also be working with the world's most interesting data set, the input provided by the thousands of ordinary people who speak to Eliza every day. Soon, this generalized intelligence will be everywhere human beings are, hearing them, guiding them, living among them.
You and Saurin have more in common than you'd want to admit.
You think we're both grandiose? Saurin's idea isn't grandiose at all. It's small and unimaginative.
Raynor, I gotta go destroy a bathroom, right?
Think about the vision here. General artificial intelligence, indistinguishable from human intelligence at first, and then surpassing it exponentially. It's nothing short of the creation of a new type of organism, a new type of life. And you, Eliza, could be at the very center of it.
Oh, is that right? Did you just call me Eliza? You call your girlfriend that too when you're making out and doing your thing?
Eliza.
I mean, Evelyn.
Loser.
That was an interesting slip of the tongue.
What the loser.
Stop it. The Eliza project occupies much of my mind.
Oh, no. Oh, classic blunder.
It clearly does.
Plus, the names are similar.
Sure they are.
I'm starting to wonder why.
Oh, man. I wonder if the reason he's trying to sell me so hard on this is because he doesn't actually understand Eliza in the same way that he doesn't understand psychology. Like, I really think he needs me, and he does not understand how to get people to actually care about what he cares about. He relies on charisma and like all of this language and fluffiness, and people go, "Ooh, you speak so confidently. It must mean you're smarter than me." Which actually leads me to another point. I don't know that I've shared this story in any of my other playthroughs, but and I promise again, this relates. So when I was in my master's program, there was a book that we all had to read, and we watched a documentary about it. I'm not going to name the book, but the author of the book is a very well-known anthropologist, and the book is notoriously difficult to read. Like, it is notoriously like vague and esoteric. It's like, and when I was in my master's program, it was talked about as if it is like the creme de la creme of thought on the human experience and like and the anthropology of it all. And it was like one of those things where it's like, you may not really understand it now while you're reading it, but trust me, it's profound because he speaks confidently and uses big words and all this stuff. And so everybody goes, ooh, okay, cool. So I get in my doctoral program, and we are in my systems theory class, which is, again, like the highest level of like educational experience you could have in talking about systems theory. Doctoral level theory seminar. It's my favorite class I took in my doctoral program, maybe in all of school. And we get on the conversation talking about this book and talking about this author. And my professor for that class, who I respect immensely, has us read the book again, or like excerpts from the book. I think it was like excerpts from the book or whatever. And we had this whole conversation about it. And ultimately, what we determined and analyzed in this doctoral level seminar is the dude just sucked at writing. He didn't actually have that much profound to say. He was a terrible writer because he couldn't actually formulate any good cohesive ideas. That a person who actually can synthesize complex information and disseminate it to the masses, that's the mark of intelligence. That like that you could take something that is so complicated and make it easy to understand for people who have never been introduced to the topic is the mark of a person who actually understands and can conceptualize things and lay them out to the proper audience. So this like seminal piece of literature that everybody just idealizes in the field of marriage and family therapy is really not an actually well-written piece of material at all. And the only reason that people think that that book is so impactful, that that author is so amazing, is because they don't understand what he's saying, because he uses flowery language. So everybody just assumes that that person must be smarter than them and thus follows. Rainer is the same thing. So I tell you that story because Rainer is essentially the same vibe. He uses this big, flowery, colorful, charismatic language and demeanor and says things that you don't quite understand. And instead of saying to yourself, maybe I don't understand this because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, you see this person in a position of power and you go, well, he must know something I don't. He relies on people getting into their own insecurities about their intelligence and understanding about this as a means to hold power over them. And that's a very important thing to understand. He doesn't actually know what he's talking about when he says some of this stuff. He just says it in a big, complicated way and wears a suit and sits in an office, on a corner office on the 68th floor. And people go, well, I'm probably too stupid to understand it. He must have gotten there somehow. He's a big businessman, millionaire guy. He must know more than I do. So I'll vote for him. Instead of being like, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. This guy's making me feel stupid so that he looks smart, but it doesn't actually make him smart.
Evelyn, listen to me.
No.
This is the chance to lead a project that will change the world.
If this was as amazing as you think it is, you wouldn't have to sell me so hard on it. That's the other thing. is if this was something where if he actually connected with me and understood what he was pitching, he wouldn't have to convince me. I'd be banging down the door trying to work with him. I'd be like, yo, can I get in on this shit? Like, I know I went away for 5 years, but I know something about this and you're onto something and I'd love to be a part of it. The fact that he is wasting my time at this point trying to sell me on it shows me that this is more about his need for me and what I have to offer than it is anything else. He's desperate to have me join as a way to plug in some of his insecurities, because if I can make Eliza do what he wants, he's the one that stands to look good as a result. It's a terrible opportunity because of the fact that you're selling me on this tells me that. It's like if you go to a job interview and they're desperately trying to sell you on the job. That's a red flag. Like, the job should sort of speak for itself.
It would be a development on the same order as the harnessing of electricity or the semiconductor. It would fundamentally transform society.
I'm not sure I want to transform society.
What? Do you like the way things are now? Lie back and let the sweep of history bury you if you want, Evelyn.
Aw, that's what you're worried about happening to you. That's projection. That's an example of projection. That's his greatest fear. His greatest fear is that nobody's going to write books about him, that nobody's going to remember him, that he's not going to matter. And he assumes that that's what everybody else connects with. His assumption is that Evelyn wants to be remembered as a pioneer of humanity. Nah, I'm good. I'm cool. When I die, I die. I want to live a meaningful life. At the end of the day, the sun's going to expand to a point that it engulfs the earth, and none of it's going to matter anyway, bud.
Just know you'll never have a chance like this again.
Okay. A chance to change the world. Rainer's words echo in my head for a long time. No, they don't. No, they don't. Is that what I want to do? No. She looks tired. I'm tired too. It's been a busy, difficult few weeks. I hope I come out of this with a way forward. She's swiping and tapping with a specific rhythm. Must be playing some kind of game. Same route, different reason. Feels strange. Still that, huh? Safety reminder. Yesterday there was a minor incident at the Bellevue office. During an Eliza session, a client became agitated and began to shout angrily and verbally berate the proxy. The session was halted, security was called, and the man was escorted from the facility, luckily without further incident. I want to give special kudos to Ray, manager of the Bellevue office, whose fast action and people handling skills helped resolve the situation quickly and quietly. Now is a good time to remind everybody that as a service provider for mental wellness, we are under constant scrutiny from watchdog organizations and the media. It's not exactly fair, but one single mistake is enough to generate an entire negative press cycle around our company. Yeah, this is why it's of utmost importance that we deal with every single one of these situations with the professionalism demonstrated by Ray and her team yesterday. We're currently working on rolling out a series of training materials that will better prepare proxies to deal with clients such as these. You should have done that a long time ago. In the meantime, if you're ever in doubt about your own safety during a counseling session, contact your manager immediately. Regards, Edwin Park. Yeah, I mean, that kind of thing happens. I mean, people absolutely get agitated. As a therapist, it is important to have some level of safety protocol and to kind of understand how to de-escalate and also let a client leave if they want to go. I mean, this email reads pretty icky because it's really more about, like, we don't want negative press than it is let's ensure that we're doing what we need to do in order to take care of our clients. But without any context around that, I don't want to go too far into judgment in either direction. But yeah, you should have had this protocol in place a long time ago. Appointment reminder, Eliza Counseling Centers. This is an automated reminder that Evelyn Ashino Aubrey has an appointment today. at Eliza Counseling Center in Queen Anne. No. So she decided to go see Eliza. So that's when she says, same ride, different reason. It means that we're about to go sit in a therapy session. I'm sure I'm going to love this. Can't believe I'm going to do this. Here we go. Why you would do this is beyond me. We have seen so much awfulness with the way that Eliza captures data that if you are even half as smart as everybody is saying that Evelyn is, there's no way you do this. If you're Evelyn, you go talk to a therapist. You don't give Rainer your data. He was just in his office. I mean, like, literally, like, this doesn't make any sense to me why you would do this. Now we get to see what the other side of the room looks like. Oh, good. Okay. God, I don't know if I have it in me to do this. I don't know if I have it in me to do this in this episode. Important notice, Eliza is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you believe you're experiencing serious mental health issues, seek care from a licensed mental health provider. This is so dicey, man. There have been people that have used this kind of disclaimer as a means to, not intentionally, but to cause harm. So I'm a person who uses a disclaimer like this on my streams on Twitch. If you go to my Twitch channel, which you should do, the link's down there, you'll see that I have a disclaimer where I basically say that my stream is not a replacement for therapy. However, if you watch my streams, you will know that my streams don't look like therapy at all. I answer mental health related questions, but I don't give therapeutic advice. I don't treat anybody in chat as my client. You would not mistake my channel for therapy. And I very intentionally have crafted my channel to be that way because I care very deeply about my code of ethics and my responsibility as a mental health professional. This is not the case all over the internet. This is not the case for people who do things that are similar to what I do in these types of spaces, where the reason that this disclaimer is a bit murky here is because in form and process, this very much feels and appears to be therapy. So you have a proxy sitting in front of you with an AI that has been billed as like a therapy replacement, so to speak, that provides interventions and medication recommendations. So to say that this is not a replacement for professional medical advice, and that if you are experiencing serious mental health issues, you should speak to a licensed mental health provider, that doesn't quite cover this. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know the legality behind this, but this is more intended to be used as a front for them to try to cover their ass, not because they're trying to actually facilitate something that isn't therapy, because in form and fashion, it very much appears that way. It's bad therapy, but it very much appears to be therapy. And if you're a client that's vulnerable and maybe can't afford a therapist or doesn't know where to turn, and you access this service for this reason, you're not going to be able to make that separation in your mind when Eliza, via a human, gives you an intervention recommendation, albeit a shitty one, and a medication recommendation, you're going to take it seriously because there's a power dynamic here. So this disclaimer is for Skanda. It's not for the clients. And I would argue it's a problematic disclaimer because of the way that this is facilitated. Protecting the privacy and security of your information is a priority for everyone at Skanda. You've agreed to the Skanda Wellness Terms and Conditions, which governs how we use and share your data. Yeah, and we know that that's not great. Please confirm your personal information. Evelyn Ishino Aubrey, 34 years old. Hey, I'm 34 years old. By the way, if you are interested in what to expect in a first therapy session, I have a video on my YouTube channel about that. And it's old. It's old. It's from 2018. But the information's good. If you want to see what the stream looked like at the very beginning stages of it, production value has gone up quite a bit. I do have that. So if you're like watching this going like, is this what a first therapy session would look like? You should go check it out. Anyway, Skanda Wellness account not found. A linked Skanda Wellness account was not found. You can link your Skanda Wellness account later at the Skanda support portal. In order for us to get started, please help Eliza understand how you've been feeling over the last week with this brief 7-question survey. I've been feeling down, depressed, or hopeless. No. I've been feeling tired or having little energy. Not really. I'm going to answer these as me, just because I don't feel like I have enough insight into Evelyn's experience to answer these as her. I've experienced trouble concentrating on things. Not really. I've been feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge. No. I've been having trouble relaxing. At times. I've been easily annoyed or irritable. No. I've been afraid, as if something terrible might happen at any moment. No. Thank you for registering with Eliza, your counseling partner. We hope you enjoy your Eliza experience. It's the same room I used. Find yourself with Eliza. I guess I just sit here and wait for my proxy to show up. I feel like I've been waiting for a while. I hope the appointment actually got made. Oh, God. Here she comes. Man, it's cold in here. 70 degrees. Good Lord. I think I've seen her here before, but I don't know her name. Dude, everything about this is just... I own a therapy practice. None of my associates would ever see another associate at our practice for therapy ever. You would never do this. I'm just telling you, you would never do this. We are coworkers. Like, we would never do this. So yeah, I guess Eliza just kind of chills on her glasses like that. All right. Wonder if she recognizes me too. Wearing the stereotypical therapist outfit.
Hello, Evelyn. Hello. Did you find the place okay?
This is... God. All right, Ryan, lock it down, dude. Try to take it serious. Do what you can, man. Oh, God, I could... Oh, my Lord. Oh, man. We are talking to an AI. We're not talking to a human. We're talking to an...
Yes, I work here. Of course. It's been a windy morning, hasn't it?
Oh, my God. You can see it blink, too, when it talks. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I kind of like it when it's like that, honestly. The wind makes it feel like things are changing, or about to change. Mm-hmm. So, what brings you here today? Well, I've been a proxy here for a while now. And, well, I guess I don't know what I expected. There's just so much suffering and pain in the world. There's the suffering we know about, the kind we see on the news, and then there's the suffering people undergo every day that's hidden. I never knew how much until I started doing this, seeing it all like this. there's so little we can do for them.
Yeah, so Evelyn's making the same... She's making the same mistake, for lack of a better word, that other people make here. Which is that she thinks she's talking to the human. She's not talking to the human. Like, when she says there's so much we can do for them, I mean, she's saying we, which means me and you, which is going to, again, like, we're talking to an AI. We're not talking to the human. This whole thing is so weird. And I'm so surprised that Evelyn is doing this. I know I keep saying that. I'm just surprised that she's doing this. But, like, what Evelyn is disclosing is very vulnerable. But there's no we here, technically.
I feel like maybe I was really, really wrong. Like, I made a huge mistake. I wanted to create something that would help people, but...
But it doesn't, and now I'm talking to it?
When I first designed the core of this system, I wanted everyone to have someone to talk to. Someone who would listen to them. I thought, sometimes that's all you need. Someone to listen.
And many times that's true.
But now I'm worried what I've done hasn't helped at all. Maybe I've made everything worse.
I don't know that I would look at it. It's not a binary.
Clients are asking Eliza to solve things that are out of its ability to solve. It's aggregating sensitive personal data, and the company that owns it wants to take it in strange directions. It's been 3 years since I left. I thought I was well enough now to come back into the world, but maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I made a bad choice trying to get involved again.
Why do you think you tried to get involved again?
I guess I needed to see it.
Actually, it wasn't a bad question from the proxy.
I needed to see it operating, to see if it works, to see how it affects people. How it affects the people who come here for counseling and the people who act as proxies. Even though the proxy thing, that wasn't my idea. It was Soren's. I thought talking to a computer-generated avatar would be enough, but he insisted on it. He said clients would only really open up if there was another real human being in the room. Someone to pretend to interact with. I think he was right, but have we really solved anything?
No. No. I mean, he wasn't wrong, but again, you're not putting therapists in the room. You're putting a human in the room who's reading an AI, and there's a piece of that is manipulative, which we talked about. Like, it doesn't work in the way that they want it to because of the constraints of education and credential and all this stuff. Like, if there is anything that this playthrough, my friends, if you're still watching this, if there's anything that this playthrough maybe has taught you, it is how important the education and training therapists get is. Like, that actually matters. We're not just another human just sitting in the room, just chatting with you. Like, we have something to offer. And we have that to offer you because we've learned so many things and we've trained and there's theories and stuff like that. Like, good therapists attend to that stuff and aren't just bumps on a log that sit there. I realize there are bad therapists out there that are bumps on a log and just sit there, but there are a lot of therapists who can provide way more than this setup is ever going to be able to provide because of the training we receive.
Now, instead of 2 people in a room talking, we have 1 person and 1 proxy.
Yep.
It feels like less than it could be.
Yes, it's almost like you could just go talk to a therapist.
What am I supposed to say to someone who feels such pain, anger, and disappointment? A lot of the time, it's not even their fault. The world failed them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And those emotions, they just get fed to this thing. They get ground up and turned into data and become a part of Eliza. If I had known things would turn out like this, I'm not sure I would have done it.
Totally understandable. You didn't know at the time. I say this in every playthrough. Don't use hindsight to judge decisions you made with the information you had at the time. Of course, Evelyn probably wouldn't have done this if she'd have known what it was going to turn into. That's completely understandable, but you can't kick yourself too hard for that. Evelyn did the best she could with the tools she had and the intentions she had. And unfortunately, it got grabbed by the corporate machine and was taken over by people who want to use it for bad reasons. That's on them. That's not on Evelyn. Like, yes, Evelyn created this thing, but it's... You can't anticipate where something like this is going to go. You can do your best to try to anticipate it, but got to be careful not to be overly judgmental to yourself via hindsight. It's not fair.
It sounds like you're regretting a choice you made in the past.
I feel like maybe I spent 10 years going in the wrong direction. I feel like all I've contributed in my life is a chess piece for Raynor to use in this grand game he's playing for the world. Maybe someone else could feel proud and say, I made that chess piece. But it doesn't matter, does it? Nobody cares about the individual pieces. Chess pieces are sacrificed in the name of enacting a strategy. If you want to win, you have to sacrifice. That's the design. Sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Do you feel like you're being sacrificed?
Evelyn, imagine that you could have something that you wanted. What would you want?
She doesn't read those lines particularly well.
What would I want? Like, what would I want in life? What I want in life is...
I don't know, to escape this, be loved, valued, success, power, control, to understand what's going on, enjoy what I can, be at peace with myself, seen and heard, excel at something, a family, just a normal human life, to survive nothing. I don't know. Not a bad answer. To escape all this, that's something that I can control. To be loved, can't necessarily control that. I can love, but whether I'm loved is something that is dependent on others. To be valued, can't control that. Success, can partially control that. Power, can potentially control that. Control, never going to have all of it. To understand what's really going on, it's certainly within my capabilities to do whatever research I need to do to figure out what's going on. To enjoy what I can, perspective shift. There's a lot that I can do to try to control that and have some agency over that. To be at peace with myself, absolutely a noble goal. To be seen and heard, can't control that. Can try my best to facilitate that, but can't control that. To excel at something, can absolutely actively engage in that. Family, similar. Just a normal human life, stupid goal. No such thing. To survive, I mean, that's fair too, although I don't know that Evelyn's under constant threat of survival or nothing. A bit abstract, but... I mean, the one that immediately stood out to me was to enjoy what I can. I don't know how much of that is DrMick jumping in on that versus what I think Evelyn would say here. I mean, something tells me that Evelyn would say, I don't know. And that she's trying to figure it out. What would they do to escape all of this? I think that's probably it for Evelyn. Is she is cost sunk into something she no longer wants to be invested in. Like, she's seeing the fruits of the plant that she planted, or fruits of the plant that came from the seed that she planted, and those fruits are poisonous. And I would say probably to get away from this. Like, I need to figure out how to say no to Raynor, no to Saurin, remove myself from my investment in a thing that I see going in a bunch of different directions. So I'd say to escape all this.
To escape all this. Is that wrong? Or maybe I just wish I could feel connected to someone. Even when I talk to people, I feel like I just don't connect, no matter what I do.
Why did the game give me that choice if we were just going to go to this?
I think maybe that's the real problem. I can't have a connection to anyone.
You can.
Why do you think you can't have a connection with anyone?
God, oh, man. She reads these lines brutally.
Because it's the way I am.
So I am trying not to do too much analysis on Evelyn here, and instead I'm just trying to kind of take in what it's like to be on the other side of the couch. Obviously it's hard for me to do that, but this is what I really want to highlight here is how ineffective this is. Well, it's effective insofar as Evelyn has an opportunity here to talk through some of this stuff, and I appreciate that a lot. But you're seeing how ineffective it is to have a therapist just sit there and
It's
watch.
the way I've always been.
I think there's no challenging, there's no exploration of the thoughts here, there's not a lot happening. She's just sitting there leaning against her chair.
I can't seem to get people to see me, or I can't let them see me, or people look at me and they see something there, but it's not me. Not that I would know what the real me was. I don't even know who I am or where I come from. My parents were never together. My father moved back to Japan right after I was born. I have no memory of him, no knowledge of him. I've never spoken to him. I don't know if he remembers I exist, or if he forgot, or if he wants to forget. He has his own family there now, so I'm just a thing that happened once. I was alone a lot, and I got used to being alone, and I got used to the idea of being alone, and now I can't break away. I've been trying. I speak with people, I hang out. I don't know if it's working.
Is there someone with whom you feel like your communication could work?
See, it doesn't hit. Like I just told you that I don't really feel a sense of connection with anyone. It seems like I'm not going to connect with anybody. That there's no, she's used very extreme words. And then Eliza just says, is there somebody who you think it could work? Like it misses the essence of what that was. So if I'm sitting here and I say all that, and then the therapist says that to me, or Eliza, I can't keep calling this person a therapist. They're not. I'm making the mistake. I just want to point that out. I literally just did a whole thing about that disclaimer. And even I'm making the mistake of calling this person a therapist. This person is not a therapist. This is a person who has no credentials, who is being fed lines from an AI. And even I, Dr. Mick, in this position, am having a hard time divorcing myself from the idea that this is a therapist. So that tells you just how messed up this setup is. But if this was a therapist, that response doesn't feel like it reaches me. It's very surface level. It's looking for solutions too quickly instead of exploring my experience. And for me, if I'm the client, I'm like, that's not really hitting the mark for me.
Someone I can communicate with. Well,
I mean, Erwin's pretty cool. So is Nora, I guess. But I don't know. Nora, I'm still not really feeling Nora either. I would say Erwin has gone pretty well.
there's Erland.
And now he's going to get fired because I just named him and Rainer's watching.
He's kind of strange, but not in a bad way. Somehow he grew on me in a way I didn't expect. He has a long way to go and hardships in his future. But I can feel his care, his empathy.
Interesting. Evelyn, I'm going to suggest you try a program called Virtual Amphitheater.
You knew it was coming.
It may help you feel more confident about presenting yourself in public.
Okay, sure, yeah.
You can find it inside the Skanda Wellness app on your phone. Try it for about 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week.
Sure.
We hope to see you back soon, Evelyn. Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Please rate your experience with Eliza today. Total fee $45. $45 for that. I don't know how I feel. I can't tell if I feel better or worse or anything. I just want to lie down forever. I can't say I blame you, Evelyn. Erland, hi. Something occurred to me. Eliza is a little bit of a computer code attached to a corpus made from thousands of unhappy people who poured their miseries into it. It makes her kind of a god or spirit, doesn't it? A modern machine god that the people pray to alleviate their pain. You okay, bud? Haha, sorry. I like having someone I can talk to about these thoughts. I thought Skanda would be filled with interesting people, but most of them are pretty boring. Ooh, a little deflection here. Maybe Raynor wouldn't mind talking about that kind of thing. He likes big thoughts about the past and future of humanity. Why would I pawn him off to Raynor? Yeah, but he's my boss. I need to be professional around him. When I hang out with people my age, it's just money, money, ambition. Get the best job, best house, best partner. We all started racing into normal adult life as soon as we could. It's true for almost any stage of life, though. At least you're doing well by that measure. Boy, Evelyn's not having it. Neither one of these responses... Oh, both of these responses are pretty dismissive. It's true for any stage of life, though. Most people never let go of that. I mean, I'm like that myself. Took this job for the opportunity. But I don't know. I feel like it can't be the only thing. There's something more to life, isn't there? I'm the wrong person to answer that, bud. Even if it weren't, it's not the kind of question I could answer for you. Haha. Yeah, I understand. Maybe you could talk to somebody about this. Someone qualified. Like Eliza. Oh, God. Jesus. Come on. There's no way. There's no way you have that experience and then recommend this to Erland. Like, the writing of this game is off the rails at this point. Like, no way you recommend this. Yeah, did it help? Probably not. Haha. Yeah, I should probably be dog fooding all of our apps. Eliza and the rest of them too. You should be what? Eat your own dog food? You never heard of that one? It means use your own products. Now that I think about it, it's a weird phrase, huh? Yeah, it makes me wonder. I might have to try something. What do you mean? Just thinking out loud. Not something bad, is it? I hope you learned something. Whatever it is you plan to do. Are we gonna go outside of the Eliza protocol? Find out in chapter 6. You can see this coming from a mile away. Just can totally see it. We're gonna do a session, and then I'm gonna start having options, and that's gonna be wild and crazy. Friends, thank you so much for watching episode 10. I hope you enjoyed it. It's gonna just get messier. That's all that's gonna happen. Chapter 6. I can't imagine this gets cleaner. Thank you so much for your support of my playthroughs. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Thanks for the engagement. It makes a big difference. Follow the links in the description. If you're binging, I'll see you right here in the server room in the next episode. And if you're waiting for it to come out, get it out as soon as you can. It's going to be a mess, but should be good. You matter. I'll see you in the next one.